So this is Jack Ducour, Kaylee Goncalves' ex-boyfriend. And a lot of people think that because he can balance things on his chin, including an axe, that somehow he is now an expert axeman and an axe thrower and was in an axe throwing competition the weekend of the murders, along with his roommate Adam. And then that parlayed into him actually being the murderer because people feel that, the injuries could have been caused by an axe and not a knife. But, apparently he also balances chairs and wood and everything else. I didn't see anybody say he might have been in a chair throwing competition. So let's talk about this, because obviously him being able to balance things, including an axe, mushroomed into a huge rumor that turned out is not true. And how do we know it's not true? So Moscow Axe Throwing is one of the places that people are claiming Jack was in the axe throwing competition at, but they did not have a competition that weekend. There was 2 home football games, one at U of I, one at WSU, and it was Dad's weekend at WSU. So they were very busy with lane rentals. They're like a bowling alley. They rent out the lanes. And their tournaments are based on leagues, just like bowling leagues. And so they did not have their tournaments that weekend. Now on Saturday night, Moscow Axe Throwing did host the Idaho Vandal Jack logging sports team, along with several other collegiate teams that were in town for a competition. That competition was the Lumberjack Classic, and it was hosted by University of Idaho. It is a collegiate competition, so it is college logger sports teams. And they came and they competed for the day, but it's not just axe throwing. It's several different things, including sawing the trees, all the different things that loggers do. And in order to compete in that, you had to be a member of one of those collegiate teams. And Jack Ducour and his roommate Adam were not members of the Idaho Vandaljacks. Therefore, they wouldn't be competing in that all-day competition. Now, in case you don't believe me, here's a photo of the Vandaljacks team. And neither Jack Ducour or Adam Lauda is on that team. And that was for the fall of 2022. So I think we can put to bed the rumor that Jack and Adam were in an axe throwing competition that weekend. Also, it's absolutely ludicrous to make a jump from balancing an axe on your chin to killing someone with an axe. I think we can all agree on that. Now, the next thing I wanted to discuss is how they knew a fixed blade K-bar was used and not an axe. And we know this because of the autopsies. So the autopsies were done by November 17th of 2022. And the medical examiner would have known what type of weapon was consistent with their wounds. Now, even though we haven't seen the full ME report yet, they did say that they were all killed by a bigger knife with extensive injuries from multiple stab wounds. That tells you right there it was not done with an axe. Also, another way we know is all of these search warrants for K-bars went out after the autopsy reports were completed. They aren't going to waste their time sending out warrants for a weapon that the medical examiner says is not consistent with the injuries. Now, you might ask how the medical examiner would know which type of knives were used. Well, if you look at a K-bar, it's a fixed blade. And look at the specific blade on it, but also look at the finger guard. It goes across out on both sides. Now, if you look at some of the other types of knives made by K-bar, you'll see they don't have the same guard. If you look at this one, the blade is different, but also the guard only sticks out on one side. So when you're stabbing someone, that will leave a distinct pattern. And here are folding ones. So you can see the difference between these and the fixed blades. So obviously the ME is going to know based on the knife shape and also on the lack of a guard or the type of finger guard that there was. So these following Kabars are the ones that were searched for in the search warrants. So with the exception of the serrated one, they all have the same type of blade, and they all have the same finger guard. Now you might ask, well, how do we know a kitchen knife wasn't used? Well, take a look at kitchen knives. They do not have the finger guards like those fixed blade Kabars do, and they also have distinctly different blades. The medical examiner would have known the difference. So it's safe to say that because they were serving search warrants for Kabars after the autopsies were done, that it was definitely a fixed blade Kabar that was used.